Okay, so when it comes to Avatar, the role-playing game, it is not meant to be combat heavy. And that's because, as the book said, everybody in the Avatar universe is trained in martial arts. Whether they're a bender or not, they all know how to throw hands. And with how the way the book is built for the gameplay system, it's going to be very quick to be either taken out or take somebody else out. And that, of course, will be based on the rolls that you're rolling. Either you hit them and you get a critical hit, or you don't. And then you take some damage. So how combat is built, it is built with 3 stances. You have defend and maneuver, advance and attack, evade and observe. And as you can see on the character sheets, underneath the name, it has all 3 of those. So the idea is when you write down your move, you would then at that point mark what type of move is it. So, for example, using Ice Prison up here at the top, Ice Prison is a waterbending move, and it's also advance and attack. The player would then say, I'm going to advance and attack that firebender with the move Ice Prison. Got it? Simple enough. Here's where it gets a little complicated. So remember, you have 3 different levels of your moves. L, P, and M stands for learned, practiced, and mastered. The idea here is if you have learned it, you know the move, but you're not necessarily at a point to where you're able to use it in combat. Practice means that you have learned it and now put it into combat and you can use it in combat. And then of course mastered is you've mastered it, there's no problem with you using this move. Well, remember, in this world of martial arts, everyone is mastered in the use of martial arts. They may not be mastered in the use of their element, but they are mastered in the use of martial arts in and of itself. So when you get to Appendix A in the book, which talks about the different techniques, you start off with the universal techniques. Now the book talks about that in a shorter campaign, you generally want to start off with at least 1 mastered move. In a longer campaign, which is what we're going to be doing, you want to start out with at least 1 mastered and 1 learned move. But again, we are saying that everybody is mastered in the basic form of martial arts, which would be the universal techniques. And with how these moves are supposed to be used, these universal techniques are literally specific to everybody. Whether you're a bender, whether you're technology, or whether you're a martial artist, like focusing on martial arts on a non-bender, you are able to use any of the universal techniques, and here's how. So we're going to use charge as an example. Charge is advance and attack. You want to advance straight at an enemy to strike them full force. You'll mark 1 fatigue to close the distance and engage with an enemy you aren't currently engaged with, inflicting 1 condition or 2 fatigue, their choice. Become favored for the next exchange. So a firebender may use charge and attack by jetting themselves through with fire from their feet to close that distance and then blasting them with a fireball. A waterbender may already be running and charging at them and then throw out a sheet of water and ice on the ground so they can slide through and slide under their legs and then turn into a water whip to grab their ankle and knock them to the ground. A weapons expert may start off with throwing one of their sides to throw them off balance, and while they're off balance and jumping away, they rush at them and then take the side and hold it up to their throat to stop the fight. All the same move, all charge, advance, and attack, but they're being utilized different ways based on the fighting style that you have chosen as a player. So when I said earlier that we're looking at having only 1 master technique and only 1 learned technique, but then we add in the fact that there are 3 different types of stances, that technically only at that point gives you 2, maybe 3 moves if your playbook has a move that it already gives you. And that doesn't give you much versatility in actually doing combat. So the book itself never actually says specifically, hey, only start off with this many moves and then you can grow and learn and change and all that good stuff. Because again, Avatar, while it is a martial arts world and an anime, at the same time, it's not supposed to be focused so much on the combat aspect of it. So when I said you only get 1 learned and 1 mastered, that is specifically for your fighting style. If you are a waterbender, you can choose 2 moves from that section and then have a learned one and a mastered one. If you are a technologist, you can have 2 moves from that section, and again, you could have 1 learned, 1 mastered. But as you can see, our character sheets give us a total of 6 total boxes that we can use. Meaning if you're going to your section and only choosing 2 moves, you have 4 more boxes you can fill with moves. So in this case, what we're going to do is you're going to take 2 moves from your fighting style, waterbender, technologist, martial artist, whatever it may be, and one will be learned, one will be mastered. But then the other 4 spots are going to be from the universal techniques section. With the universal techniques, you're going to utilize these moves as just an everyday, I'm an airbender, I'm a waterbender, I'm a firebender, blah, blah, blah. I can do these things just because that's just me just throwing my element or throwing my weapons or throwing my technology. Okay, so that was a lot, but I'm going to recap for you real quick again. So for our campaign, on your character sheet, all 6 sections for the techniques, you need to have all 6 techniques filled out. You're going to have 4 from the universal techniques section, and you are mastered in all of those techniques that you choose. Then you're going to go to your specific fighting style, and then you're going to choose 2 moves from that fighting style. One that is learned, one that is mastered. Remember that if you're going to be a specialty bender, that one of your moves, your mastered move from your techniques, has to have that label that says you're a blood bender, or a lightning bender, or a metal bender. My suggestion to you as your game master is to make sure that when you are choosing from your universal techniques, have a mix and match of the 3 stances. It's not going to make sense if you're an airbender, but all you do is attack and advance, unless that's your playstyle. Just understand, if you don't choose any defensive maneuvers, or if you don't choose any of evade and observes, it's leaving you very little room to be able to actually maneuver on the field. So, as we know, Avatar, it's all about balance. You have your balance principle, so I would suggest with balancing your moves, make sure you have a good section, so that way in case we do run into more combat, which I am a combat type person, then you are able to move around a lot more and not be locked into one sort of character type. And again, unless that is something you want to do for your character. I can absolutely see someone who is the hammer only having attack and advance. I can absolutely see that. Then the extra work that you're going to want to do is, because I already know none of you all are going to want to write down all the little details that you're going to need, but you're going to need those details within your character sheet. So do yourself a favor, get on a computer, take the time to look up your moves in the appendix, and then copy and paste into a Word document, copy and paste onto your PDF file for your character sheet, whatever you need to do to make sure you have your moves and what they're supposed to do at all times. Because, love y'all, but I'm not going to look up your moves every single time you want to use one of your moves. Let me give you an example. So this is my sheet that I use when I actually play Star Cipher with my friends. And so as you can see, I have my moves written out here. And for me, in this case, we use a system where it costs you to use your moves. Here are my active abilities. These are the abilities that I actually use in combat. The last clip you saw were the abilities that I can use in or out of combat. And then of course I have my moves for later. And as you can see, these are just snips of moves that I thought were interesting. That way as I grow and as I develop and as I become stronger, I can pull these moves and then use these moves down the road. The idea will be, as you all learn and grow, I will allow you the opportunity to swap out moves and try something different if it's not really fitting your playstyle, or if we take a rest, again, taking the time to swap out the universal moves, but I will give you guys opportunities to hopefully meet other masters that will help you grow in your respective fighting style to help you continue to be stronger. Anyway, hope that helps, but again, just to recap, 6 moves total, 4 of them are going to be from universal, 2 of them are going to be from your fighting stance, and out of those 2, make sure that you focus on having 1 mastered and 1 learned. Love y'all. Peace.